At the end of this day, one shall stand, one shall fall.
Hello and welcome to That's Just Prime, and today we're going to be taking a look at Armada Optimus Prime with Minicon Overrun, and I love this toy. This guy was released in 2002 as a Supercon class, which is kind of what we know now as a Deluxe class, and he was $9.99. Here we have the Optimus in truck mode, and here's Minicon Overrun. He's a little jet, and we're going to set him aside for a moment. Now, this guy is approximately 6 inches in length in truck mode by 2.5 inches tall. So take that into consideration when planning your review or planning your display if you plan to display him in truck mode. Here in truck mode, he rolls pretty well, and that's about all he's going to do. He doesn't really have any features in truck mode other than just looking awesome. Now, we're going to bring Overrun back in for a second because Overrun is a Minicon that also is kind of a target master. He does turn into a weapon, and in truck mode, what you do in truck mode is you take, you can see here he's got a little landing gear in the front, so you're going to pop that away. You're going to take this tail fin and pull that down, and that's going to reveal a handle. You're going to flip him upside down, you take his wings, and you're going to flip those down away from that peg. And that is your gun mode right there. That's going to be your gun mode for both robot and truck mode. And what you do in truck mode, if you look at the back of the truck here, right next to the fifth wheel, there's a port. That port's for that peg. So you can pop this guy in right here, angle him up, and there you go. Now you've got a cannon mounted on the back of Optimus Prime. That's pretty cool. And you can rotate this guy around. He does rotate around some, not all the way around because of the fifth wheel, obviously, but he does rotate a little bit. So there you go. And let's straighten out those exhaust pipes there. There you go. So there's one final look at him in truck mode, and let's get into the transformation. We're going to take Overrun off to the side here, and let's set him. Actually, why don't we transform him first, and then we can set him aside. So, like I showed, you can flip the tail, but for robot mode, actually, I prefer to leave it up because it just helps to keep him standing. Take the two wings, and this time you're going to fold them up towards the back of the tail fin there. In gun mode, we had them, as you're looking at it now, in gun mode, they were pointing down, so this time we're going to point them up. We're going to come up here to the front. We're going to take these two. They look like wheels, but they're really not. A lot of people confuse this. A lot of people think that that's just landing gear in the front, and it's really not. It's this little one that I showed you previously right there. So, anyway, you're going to take them right here. You're going to split these in half to the side and all the way around to the back there. Now you're going to take the nose of the jet and you're going to fold that down, and it's just going to stick straight forward like that. And there is Overrun in robot mode. Oh, and you can take his legs here and split them up just a little bit. It doesn't really have any articulation in the legs. It doesn't really do much other than off to the side, but at least you can give him a little bit of a more dynamic pose. Just, when he's standing there, at least he's got a little bit of an A stance rather than just standing straight up and down. And then his arms can rotate around. That's about all he does. So he's really here more for the gimmick and as a bit of a target master. So there's Overrun. We're going to set him aside, and we're going to get into Optimus Prime and his transformation. Really simple, really cool. If you're familiar with the first release of the Armada Optimus Prime, the big electronic one, the transformation is pretty much the same as that one there. So we're going to take the back of the truck here where the fifth wheel would be located. We're going to take this entire section here. We're going to pull it back and apart from the rest of the truck, just like that. Come down here, and we're going to take these. Are going to become the legs. We're going to split these apart. And then these tabs here, push these back. Those are actually heel spurs, and the feet come down. All right, coming up to the top here. On the sides of the truck, these are going to be the arms. If you look, there's a peg there that was plugged in on that port there. And that's what that looked like in truck mode. So we're going to take both of these arms, and we're going to split them off to the sides, just like that. And we're going to leave those there for now. We're going to come to the front, and we're going to take the grill of the truck, and we're going to pop this forward. Now, this grill, you'll see there's two pegs here and two ports there. This grill was pegged into the front of the truck, just there. So pop that forward. It's on a hinge here, and it's on a hinge here, so you're going to fold the whole thing down. That's going to reveal the head to right there. And then we're going to take this panel and flip it all the way up, and these same pegs, again, are going to plug into these ports that are here now. and that's going to secure that. All right, now for the arms. This L section here, where the screws are on, these are actually on a double hinge, so these are going to come out and down. And it's easier if you bring them out just like this and then turn them. There we go. Sometimes they tend to pop off, and I'd actually had them pop off on me while I was getting ready for the video, and it had been so many years since I had one pop off on me that I forgot that they could do that. So anyway, there's that. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Just bring that down and rotate it up. All right, I got them both without popping them off. Good. And then finally, we're going to take the arms here, and you're going to see the pin right there. We're going to straighten these out, and then you're going to push this whole piece of the forearm here, and you're going to push that straight up, and that reveals the fist. Same thing on the other side. Just straighten that up and push up to reveal the fist. Now, it doesn't really click in place. They're just kind of held there by friction. And when you're fiddling with it, they tend to drop down a little bit on me like that. So just be aware that they do tend to do that. They stay up there okay, but they don't. When you're playing with them, sometimes they'll slide down on you. So there's that. And then finally, this panel on the back here, we're going to take that, flip it up. And there is Armada Deluxe Class Optimus Prime in robot mode. I know he's a Super Con class, but for the sake of for the sake of the review, I'm going to say Deluxe Class, since that's probably the class that everybody is most familiar with. So there's Optimus Prime in his robot mode, and we'll bring in Overrun so that we can see them side by side. There you go. Now in robot mode, he's approximately 5 inches tall at the head. So take that into consideration if you plan to display him in robot mode. For articulation, he's pretty well articulated. His head is on a ball joint, so you can move this guy around all over the place. I just love that head sculpt. Just check that guy out. That is an awesome head sculpt. I just really love that. The shoulders, because of the transformation here, they can go in and out. There's a hinge right there, so you can actually make the shoulders go in and out. And then he's got a full 360. The elbows, also you saw that because of the transformation, they can go all the way forward and all the way back. Now, they can't do a complete 90 when they go forward. If you take them all the way forward, as you can see, it kind of tends to push the fist back in. So you got a little bit of rotation at the elbow, but not a whole 90. And then there's a ball joint right in there, so you can also bring these in just like this. So you can do kind of a, I don't know, looking at his, if he had a wrist communicator, he could be looking at that. That's pretty cool. Down here, see, there's that thing sliding down again. Okay, if you come down here, the hips, let's push these arms out of the way. These panels, you can push these panels off to the side. And these are on ball joints as well, so you can bring these in and out, back, forward and backwards. They're a little limited because of the hinges that are in here, but you got a good range of motion in there. Then you got a 90 at the knee, and because of the transformation, you got a little bit of a pivot at the foot. So there he is. He is pretty cool looking. I really like this version of Optimus Prime. This when Armada came out, this design that they made for Optimus Prime really kind of reminded me of the Generations 2 laser Optimus Prime, which was a pretty cool design. And this was kind of that mixed in with a little bit of a more military look to him. And, you know, obviously they were made up military vehicles. They weren't designed after any real world military vehicles, but, you know, they had that military kind of look to them mixed in with a little bit of a G2 laser Prime look to him. And I just thought that this Prime looked so cool. So there he is in robot mode. Once again, we'll bring in Overrun. And we'll look at what he can do. Overrun, like I said, he can turn into a weapon. He's kind of like a target master, so we'll bring him back. It's the same weapon mode that we used in the truck mode. So we'll bring these fins back up, plug those in place, fold around the fin to really reveal the peg. And if you look under the nose cone, if you look right in there, you can see there's a gun barrel right there. And maybe in the box art actually shows that in black, and I think if they would have painted that black, maybe it would be a little more convincing as a gun. But as it is, that's the gun mode right there. You can peg that right into Optimus's arm, and there is Overrun in gun mode being held by Optimus Prime. And I think that's pretty cool right there. And that works really well for him, I think. Now, he does have a Con Gimmick, so we'll take the Con And actually, I'm going to leave them just like this because this kind of keeps everything out of the way. Let me see. Can I fold that peg? Yeah, I'm going to pull that peg back as far as I can just to kind of keep it out of the way in there. Just because this is the port for the Minicon and just to keep everything kind of out of the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to around the back and there's the Minicon port. So we're going to plug that guy right in there. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to bring Optimus's arms forward like this. And let's see if we can get this on camera here. What we're going to do is I'm going to use this panel down here for support on the thumb and do my best not to pop this off. What we're going to do is we're going to take this Minicon and we're going to push him down. See that lever? Swinging up and down. And as you can probably see, he does a sort of kind of a punching motion. It really kind of looks more like he's vibrating or shaking than anything else. But what he does is the shoulders go from this angle right here to that angle right there. So that's the motion that we're attempting to do, and it would be sort of a punching mode. It's not the best gimmick, but it's there. And at least in the case of this figure, unlike a lot of the Armada toys, at least the gimmick is not intrusive. You know, that's one of the biggest problems that the Armada line had is that a lot of the gimmicks were intrusive to the figures themselves. And at least in the case of this Optimus Prime, that is not the case. You've got a gimmick. Granted, it's not the best gimmick in the world, but it does do what it's supposed to do, and it doesn't get in the way of the vehicle mode or the robot mode or the articulation or anything else. So it works pretty well, if you ask me. So if there was anything that I could change on this figure, truck mode, I like just the way it is. I would have, for robot mode, I guess I would have tried to maybe make some interior pegs or somehow try to design this friction joint better so that these guys stayed up. That really is kind of my only point of contention with this figure is that anytime you're playing with them, the forearms tend to slide down and cover up the fist. But other than that, yeah, just like that. I'm trying to pose him and his forearm slides down. What are you going to do? But other than that, I really like this figure. I think it's a fun figure. It's the transformation is simple. It's intuitive. He's fun to play with. I really like this figure a lot. So I think that about covers Armada Super Class or Deluxe Class Optimus Prime with Minicon Overrun. Please leave me a comment, subscribe, share with your friends if you like what you see, and I will talk to you next time on That's Just Prime.